Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here, and welcome to today's pregame report between the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues. Now, the Oilers look like they might be kind of trending up right now, and the St. Louis Blues, they've lost 7 games in a row, but what St. Louis reminds me of, actually, is the 2023-2024 Edmonton Oilers before Jay Woodcroft got fired. Right now, St. Louis has some pretty strong underlying metrics that, to me at least, shows that they are going to turn their season around and probably still make the playoffs, but St. Louis's big problem is something that Oilers fans know all too well, is that they cannot get a single save right now. Jordan Binnington has a goals against average of almost 3.5. Joel Hofer has a goals against average of 5, over 5 goals against average. Oh my goodness gracious. The St. Louis Blues, they cannot get a save. They cannot buy a save right now. And the Edmonton Oilers, well, they got a good few saves the other night against Chicago. Stuart Skinner had a terrific night against the Blackhawks, and we were playing another Central Division team tonight. And I would likely think that Calvin Pickard gets the start tonight, and then Stu gets the start tomorrow against Dallas, just because of Stu's history against the Stars in the playoffs. I imagine they'll give Stu the start against Dallas tomorrow, but I don't know for sure as of the recording of this video. I don't know who's actually getting the start for Edmonton, but I am myself projecting Calvin Pickard to get the start, so hopefully they can get the job done. Hopefully they can keep the St. Louis Blues down just a little bit longer before St. Louis eventually turns their season around and starts trending upwards. So if you end up enjoying this pregame report, make sure to hit that like button. And if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I just want to give a quick shout out to the best fans on the planet, all of you currently watching and listening at home. Your support on my post-game fan reaction from the Oilers and Blackhawks game cannot be understated. I'm at a loss for words for just how kind all the comments were. I was very vulnerable in that video, and I do appreciate that everyone was supportive, kind, not only to myself, but to each other. I know there were some Dodgers fans, some Jays fans, some neutral fans, and some non-baseball fans, but you all came together to show your love and support, and that's why you are the best fans and the best community on YouTube. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to everyone. Before we get into the projected lineups, let's do that right now for the Edmonton Oilers. These were the lines against the Chicago Blackhawks. I imagine there won't be any major changes. The only change I might see is maybe Tomaszek comes in for Lazar or Phil, but I didn't think Lazar or Phil played, necessarily terrible against Chicago. On the top line, you have Nugent Hopkins with Connor McDavid and Andrew Mangiapane. That is a line that has had some ups and downs. Connor McDavid, though, he bounced back after a pretty poor showing against the sorry, I'm kind of blanking here. After a poor showing against the Rangers. I almost said Utah, but I was like, no, they played well against Utah. They beat Utah 6-3. After a poor showing against the Rangers, Connor McDavid bounced back against Chicago with 3 assists, and that top line for Edmonton played much, much better. And that's a really good sign that, they understand that their play against the Rangers wasn't good enough and that they do have to hit another level to find success. And hopefully they're able to, kind of continue that into tonight's matchup against the Blues. On the second line, you have Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Jack Roslovic. That trio has been Edmonton's best trio for the last few games here. I've really liked Roslovic's game, really liked Draisaitl's game, other than his effort in overtime against the Rangers. And I've really, 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 really loved Vasily Podkolzin's game. Vasily Podkolzin does so much on the ice for his line mates to create space and time and allow players to get possession. It can't be understated just how valuable Vasily Podkolzin's play style is. I don't know why it took so long to put Podkolzin and Draisaitl together this season, but I am glad that Knoblauch has realized, okay, maybe I should keep these guys together kind of permanently. And Jack Roslovic, he has found a very nice home flanking Leon Draisaitl. Don't worry, the goals will come. Roslovic is all over it. It seems like he is getting at least one breakaway or partial breakaway a game. He's usually hitting at least one post or crossbar per game. He's getting 2-on-1 opportunities with Leon. Roslovic, I think, is due to really just explode offensively here. He's all over it all the time. He's in the right spots, and he's using his speed as well. That line is fast. They are tenacious, and they are doing a great, great job at generating scoring chances. So for Roslovic, hopefully he can keep playing well. I know he only has 2 goals on the season, but that is about to change, in my opinion. On the third line, you have Matthew Savoie with Adam Henrique and Trent Frederick. Adam Henrique, I think, has had a actually pretty decent season up to this point. He has 6 points. Henrique and Savoie seem to have some chemistry together. I like the way they look. It's Trent Frederick right now where I think the team is trying to figure out where he fits in terms of the puzzle that they are building and putting together. Nothing against Trent Frederic here, but his play has been subpar. Most nights he does look kind of invisible. He's not really engaged physically. He's not engaged on the offensive side of the puck. Defensively, I think he's been fine. Like, I think when it comes to his play in the neutral zone and the defensive zone, I think he's been perfectly acceptable for Trent Frederic standards, but we are looking for a little bit more. Not asking for a ton of offense, but we are asking for him to at least look noticeable on the forecheck. Bang a body into the boards, get in front of the blue paint, deflect a puck into the net with your face. I don't know, man. For Trent Frederic, I really want him to turn his game around. This is a player that I really do like. This is a player that I was happy about when they signed him to the 8-year contract. I think we all know 8 years was kind of a silly number to give him, but the extension itself made sense. And I understand the logic why they gave him that extension. But right now, for Trent Frederic, the play is not justifying it. There's a lot of time to turn it around. Maybe he's still getting over that high ankle sprain. I don't know. I don't like to speculate on that kind of stuff, but hopefully he's able to turn his season around right now. Turn it around. If there's ever a team to turn your season around, if there's ever a team to feel good about your game and get some offense, it would be St. Louis. No offense to the Blues here, but this is a team that, you might consider fragile, man. Maybe the goaltending's a little fragile. Throw some pucks on net, see if something squeaks through, and you can start to build some confidence here. And then on the fourth line, Howard, Philp, and Lazar, they played with each other, not against each other. They played with each other against the Chicago Blackhawks, looking to continue some okay play. Ike Howard has 2 goals in his last 5 games, so his game is starting to kind of, we're starting to see why he's on the NHL roster. We're starting to see why they signed him out of college and why they see him and look at him as a pretty highly touted player. For Ike Howard, just keep building your game, keep doing what you can. Maybe you'll start to get a few shifts here and there with some of the big guns. But for now, do your job on the fourth line. Don't get scored on, and try and provide some offense for the team, some secondary offense. On defense, you have Ekholm with Bouchard. They were reunited after being kind of taken apart for a couple of games there. Just Ekholm and Bouchard weren't really working well together. Bouchard had a much better game against Chicago Blackhawks than he did against the New York Rangers. And Evan Bouchard, overall, you take that Rangers game out, his last 5 or 6 games, he has been great. He's over a point per game. He's generating offense. The power play's been clicking. Evan Bouchard had 1 really bad game against the New York Rangers. I don't think that is truly reflective of his play this season. He's been inconsistent, obviously, but if we take a look at the last 5 games or so, Evan Bouchard's game, it is trending in the right direction. Nurse and Wallman is your second pair. Darnell Nurse was benched for a little bit in that Utah game, and he's been great ever since. I really like his play, and some of that has to also be attributed to Jake Wallman, who has come into this lineup and has basically provided a point per game since he came back into the lineup. He's played 7 games for the Oilers. Jake Wallman has been fantastic. He is the goods. I'm very happy with his play, and hopefully him and Nurse continue to play very well together. I know Wallman, he's a left shot D-man, probably prefers to be on the left side, but what he is doing right now, being asked to play on the right side, this is, it's a big ask. A lot of players can't do what Wallman is doing right now, just for comfort reasons, just for historical reasons, just the way they play. Jake Wallman, he is doing what the team needs of him right now, and that is helping the Oilers win hockey games. On the third pair, you have Kulak with Ty Emberson. Now, Ty Emberson has really taken a step up, in my opinion, compared to last year. Not a lot of offense. That's not what Ty Emberson provides, though he does have a goal this season, which is very fun. But Ty Emberson's defensive game, his defensive awareness, and his positioning on the ice at all times, you never see that guy make a mistake. And Ty Emberson, because of his age, he's very young. He's still growing and learning and figuring things out. I like his game a lot. That is a player that I would start to trust with a little bit more ice time if for some reason Bouchard can't quite find his game over the next 10 or so games. I would start to trust Emberson in high leverage situations. His defending has been great, and him and Kulak work very well together. Yeah, you probably don't want them going up against other teams' top players, but I have a lot of trust in Emberson's game right now. And then in goal, like I mentioned, I am projecting Calvin Pickard probably gets the start, at least as of the recording of this video. I would imagine he gets the start tonight, and then Stuart Skinner gets the start tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. And Zach Hyman's still considered week to week. You may see him maybe next weekend, maybe Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche back at home. If not Saturday, probably sometime during the week of November 9th or 10th. I think they play Columbus on the 10th, which is like a Monday. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong on these. Now let's jump into the pregame stats here. The St. Louis Blues, they are 3-7-2 on the season. Their power play ranks 11th, 23.5%. Their penalty kill, not so good, ranks 27th, 69.7%. Goals for per game, they rank 21st, 2.83. Goals against per game. This is where St. Louis is having major issues right now. They're giving up over 4 goals per game. That ranks dead last. Their goaltending has been literally abysmal. We think sometimes the goaltending in Edmonton is bad. I don't think I've seen goaltending as bad as what we've seen in St. Louis this season. Their record, though, is not reflective of how they've been playing. They are 6th in expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5, which means they are generating more chances, high danger chances. They're getting the better looks on a night-to-night basis, generally, right? And not every high danger chance is equal. Not every high danger chance is the same as another high danger chance, but for the St. Louis Blues, this is a 12-game sample now, and their expected goals for percentage, their underlying metrics are very solid, and this is a team that I think is going to turn the season around if they can start to get some saves here. Their shots for percentage ranks 14th, and their team save percentage at 5-on-5, 32nd, 86.51%. They are getting an .865 save percentage in 12 games at 5-on-5. That is horrifying. That is worse than what you would have seen in the 1980s, and when goal scoring was at an all-time high. That is really bad. That is not good at all for the Oilers. See if you can take advantage of it. On the Oilers side, their power play ranks first, 33.3%. That power play is clicking. It is finding ways to get goals. It seems like at least once a game now, which is awesome. Roslovic had a nice tip-in goal against the Chicago Blackhawks, so hopefully he is able to keep that up as the net front presence. They took Tomaszek out of the lineup, put Roslovic in as the net front, and he did a good job. He had a nice tip goal on the power play. Penalty kill ranks 15th, 80.6%. They did give up a power play goal to the Chicago Blackhawks, but that's okay. The penalty kill still looking strong in my opinion. Goals for per game ranks 18th, 3.15 goals per game. Goals against per game, they rank 17th, so middle of the pack. They're also middle of the pack in expected goals for percentage. It's at 49% on the season. Looking for a little bit more at 5-on-5 in terms of in terms of high danger chance generation and high danger chance suppression. I think defensively the team can be better, but I also think we haven't seen the best of this forward group at generating those high danger chances. They have been better over the past week or so, but they need to start converting a little bit more and producing chances at a higher rate, in my opinion. Shots for percentage, they rank 7th, and my apologies. Team save percentage, they rank 25th, 89.73%. Now, jumping into the keys to the game and the players to watch and the score prediction. The keys to the game for the Edmonton Oilers. Simple hockey. You do not have to overcomplicate anything right now, especially against the St. Louis Blues. Just simple hockey. North-south, defend well, get in on the forecheck, cycle the puck, shots for tips, and then crash the blue paint. Very simple hockey. You do not have to do more than that. Literally shoot everything on net. I'm not even kidding. If you're the Oilers, everything. Literally everything. Skate. This is the one time, Darnell Nurse. This is the one time for Darnell Nurse that I'm giving him permission to throw muffins from the blue line. Because of how bad St. Louis's goaltending has been, literally throw everything on net. Something's going to go through. Something will squeak through. I know it. And then continue to be strong on the special teams. The Oilers' power play has been a big difference maker for them over the past few games here, and hopefully if they get at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 power plays, they convert at minimum 1 of them, maybe 2, maybe more. Who knows? Who knows? The possibilities are endless with the Oilers' special teams. Now, with the St. Louis Blues, stick with it at 5-on-5. They have a 41 goals for percentage versus a 55 expected goals for percentage. So the goals for and expected goals for, there is quite a disparity between those two numbers. This is very similar to what the Oilers dealt with in 2023 before Jay Woodcroft was fired. In fact, I went back and looked at the numbers. The Oilers before Jay Woodcroft was fired, like basically the day that he was fired, actually, they had a 41% goals for percentage and a 57% expected goals for percentage. So very similar circumstances between the Oilers and Blues from, the Oilers 2023 season and now St. Louis today. Jim Montgomery, he's not going anywhere. St. Louis will not fire him. That is not something that I think the Blues are concerned about. But their team play, if they stick with it at 5-on-5, things will turn around. They are not going to get an .865 save percentage all season long from their goalies. That's just not possible. I just cannot imagine that happening for a full 82-game season. But for the Oilers, you got to make sure that you're prepared. St. Louis, they are going to be playing desperate hockey. There's a lot of pressure on St. Louis to not only make the playoffs, but build on what they did last season. be on your toes. And for St. Louis, stick with it. If they stick with it, they have a good chance of winning this game. And of course, it goes without saying, please make a save. I put that on the Oilers side sometimes, but for St. Louis, they desperately need saves right now. My players to watch, I'm going Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers. He has 9 goals in 13 games. It seems like Leon seems to be scoring 1 goal a game lately. He has been all over it. And I'm going with the former Oiler Dylan Holloway for St. Louis. Holloway, it looks like his game is starting to turn around. He's off to a much slower start this season than he did last season. But again, the whole team in St. Louis, when you're behind the 8 ball and you're down by 3 goals every single night heading to the third period, probably not a recipe for success or confidence building. If St. Louis jumps on Edmonton early, though, look for Holloway to be one of those players. Now, what is my score prediction? I hate doing this now because every time I've predicted the Oilers to win, they lose. And every time I predict the Oilers to lose, they win. So now it turns into do I just pick the Oilers to lose just because I am superstitious now and, have the fans mad at me for picking Edmonton to lose? Or do I just keep sticking with my guns and eventually I'm going to hit on one of these predictions? I'm going to stick with it. Honestly, I'm not going to do the superstitious thing and predict Edmonton to lose. I have a good feeling about their game tonight. I have a good feeling about where their game has been trending over the past 4 or 5 games or so. I'm going to say 5-3 Oilers with a Jack Roslovic goal. That is my score prediction. I want to know what your score prediction is. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm excited for the game tonight. There will be no live stream tonight, folks. I don't know when the next live stream I'm going to be able to do is. Probably Saturday against Colorado will be the next one. That's the one I'm aiming for, but I cannot guarantee that. But in any case, I do appreciate all of your support as always. You will still get your pregame reports, postgame fan reactions, and day after discussions. I took yesterday off just to kind of decompress after the Toronto Blue Jays heartbreaking loss in Game 7 to the Dodgers. Still going to support my boys in blue in Toronto. So, the Jays, that is, not the Leafs. Not a Leafs fan, but it is a bittersweet time right now as a Jays fan. I'm more on the accepting side that I think the Jays can build on this if they keep that core together, re-sign Bo Bichette. Depending on what Bassett wants. I know his age. I think he's 36 now. Maybe you don't want to give him a long-term deal, but get Bassett re-signed. Sir Anthony Dominguez, get him re-signed. I know I'm talking about baseball now. This is not a baseball channel. I apologize. I'm going on. I'm ranting. I'm ranting about baseball now. Before the game tonight, tell some that you love them. And as always, fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. I'll see you in the post-game fan reaction. Take care, everyone.